Aishwarya, over to you.
Awesome. Okay, wonderful. Hello and a very hearty welcome to the inaugural ceremony of the Returning Mothers Conference 2021. Respected dignitaries on the virtual stage, IEEE leaders from around the world, the amazing conference committee, and all our energetic and interactive audience. We are all on a mission here, and it's lovely to have you all join us for yet another phenomenal edition of the Returning Mothers Conference. And this year it is themed Be the Change You Want to See in the World. I'm Aishwarya Banla, a scientist at the National University of Singapore and also a committee member of the IEEE Women in Engineering Region 10 and Singapore committees. And I'm delighted to be hosting this event today. I'm sure you're all enjoying. I see so much activity in the chat, and I see all of you are already exploring the platform, throwing us some emojis and sharing some love by means of that. And yeah, it's Friday, people. Have some fun. And I'm sure you're going to see a lot more going forward. So without further ado, let's get going. First off, I would like to invite Dr. Nityavati, who's the chairperson of the Women in Engineering Madras section, to deliver the welcome remarks. Over to you, Dr. Nityavati. You are
so overwhelmed to be strong.
We can hear you now.
You could hear me, no?
Yes,
ma'am. So regarding this Returning Mothers Conference, initially I need to say what scope it had and for what reason this conference had been hosted, and then I'm very glad to welcome all the chief guests and guests and dignitaries present in the stage. So with this determined objective to help women and men and scientists, both engineers and scientists, who ought to come back to professional life, this conference lay stress on providing an interface between an industry and in that industry they would be willing to hire or host this interested professional who could rejoin their career life. So this Returning Mothers Conference is a 2-day conference, and it focuses on providing entrepreneurship training and setting up new business models. And for that reason, we have gone for Ideathon and PitchFest contests. So it gives an opportunity for the accumulations to explore creative side and find an opportunity to start their venue. So people who are attending this conference presently is like STEM people like science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths and management graduate and passionate people are attending here. And with us, we have great personalities from graduates and who have discontinued their career studies and who are ought to continue their studies. So that people are here with us and who have made a break in their career and they want to reconsider their career life by upskilling or getting some knowledge now. That people are here with us, and some industry people who are looking for a graduate whom the industry needs. So those people are with us. So we have a vast number of people. I invite you, myself Nityavati, so I will invite you all for this grand inauguration ceremony of Returning Mothers Conference 2021. So we have with us Ramlata Marimuthu ma'am. As I ever say, she is the Iron Lady and leader of all the events with Madras section WIE conduct. So I'm very glad to say that. And we have with us Simai Akrar ma'am. So she is IEEE WIE Turkey section chair. And we have Leila D. Floriani, IEEE CS. And we have with us Jennifer Castillo, IEEE WIE. And Annie Kuriakos, World Bank. And we have with us Maria Alexandra Pong, IEEE RAWAE, and we have with us a super woman like Joan Wong, IEEE Entrepreneurship Committee, and we have with us smiling beauty like Minnie Ulanatnam from India Council, and we have with us Aishwarya Bandala, ever supportive person, and we have with us the the guide or the support or the pathfinder for us. She's none other than the Bhasana Patik Duncan ma'am, and whatever problem we face, whatever idea we ask, she's able to help us. So and I welcome you ma'am, and we have with us Navarita Krishnan sir. So I welcome all the dignitaries present here, and in addition we also have our mentors like Nilai Sangani, Rachika, Srimati Sridharan, Ashish Kare, Ajay Sharma, Ramesh Reddy, Rajini Kumari, Sujata, and Balagopalan Kuke. So I welcome you all for this grand occasion. So once again, welcome. Thank you. So the stage is over to you.
Actually, you're muted.
Right. That's a common phrase in conferences these days, right? Thank you, Dr. Nityavati, for that very personal and loving welcome remarks. Wonderful. So that brings us to another landmark in the inauguration ceremony. Across the world, light is a symbol of knowledge, illumination, and goodness. Cherishing our cultural heritage and also to draw in all good things, I welcome you all to join us for a virtual and symbolic lighting of the lamp.
Aishwarya, were you able to hear the sound here? No?
No.
And are you able to write? Yeah.
I can see the.
Okay, fine. I believe there's some.
Yeah. There's supposed to be some beautiful music along with that, but I'm sure we'll be able to share that clip across in some other way.
ॐ शहना भवतु शहनं भुनक्तु शह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. So that the word Shanti means peace, and I'm sure that is where all of us are striving to go towards and achieve. That was beautiful. Thank you again. All great things begin with a vision, and wonder what is the vision which brought us all together and why we are all gathered here. Let's hear it from the lady herself. Give it up for Dr. Ramlata Marimuthu, the founding and general chair of the Returning Mothers Conference, to share briefly on the legacy and what's in store for this year. Over to you, Dr. Ramlata.
Thank you very much, Aishwarya. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, right. So, as Nityavati ma'am said, this Returning Mothers Conference has taken so many shapes. It was conceived as a place to bring together men and women, anyone who has a passion to sustain their career. Though the name mothers may bring in the vision of only women, it is not so. It is catering to all the people in this day and age of equality. I think we don't have to make it into a motherly idea as dedicated only to women, because we do have maternity as well as paternity leave now. So the motherly dedication has gone to even the fathers. So that is the reason why this career has to be also equally given to both men and women. That is what we think. And usually women go on a break and they need a lot of planning, but usually we don't realize it till we are at the end of the break. And when the times comes for us to return to work, then only many of the people start thinking about the jobs and how they can balance their time after their return. All these problems come through, but they fail to realize that there are some skills also that are required to be upgraded, but some skills which have already been acquired by them during the break, and that also are to be brought into limelight. So it is both the way. So the prospective employers also should look for those. So there are so many things that they need to consider, like a self-evaluation, a clear understanding of the jobs available, skills available, and mapping them both. And of course, change of careers. There are so many avenues right now available, like freelancing, entrepreneurship, volunteering, and part-time careers. These are all good, and the person seeking these avenues has to plan slowly and steadily, and might need a mentor also for discussing this. Mentorship comes to women usually as a part of their life, but at the same time we don't seek mentors actively, and that is a small hitch on our side. And that's why we want to emphasize that mentor is a requirement of your plan to return to your job. So this Returning Mothers Conference is designed in such a way that we provide an end-to-end training on these various avenues and emphasize on the skills required for each, and also bring on some kind of mentor-mentee relationship also. This holistic representative approach is falling into 3 tracks. We have the innovation and entrepreneurship track, training and setting up new business from end to end. It will be an opportunity for the participants to explore the creative side and find an opportunity to start their own venture. And the second track is Inspire and Engage. And this Inspire and Engage brings in role models. The role model celebration is an important part of mentor-mentee relationship, and also women empowerment, I would say. So we bring in, as Ramnik said, an inclusive RMC, where we have all kinds of people, all kinds of role models who are to be celebrated, and we have catered to every kind of diversity, the gender diversity, background diversity, and also people with special needs. The third track is novelty and invention. This provides training on patenting and IPR. Research is an important part of our life, especially if we are educators. And most of the women are very much bent on doing research. They are also very good at it. But the one thing they fail is they don't actually get recognized, because they don't even recognize their own inventions. So to train them on how to protect the secrecy as well as the novelty of their invention, this patenting and IPR. And there is also one more opportunity here, which many people don't even know, the opportunity of building a career as an IPR agent and an attorney. That is also a possible one. So we are providing training on this also. So I think in the innovation and entrepreneurship, we have already started some of the part of the work with the Ideathon activity, where we have requested people around the world to submit their ideas for some startup or business venture or even incubation. And we have selected 15 teams out of the submissions after two-way blind review. And now we have also connected them with their mentors. Now with the training, the mentorship given to them, we are going to handhold them to build their business models, and also to finally pitch their idea in a pitch fest, which is going to happen on September 4th. So this is the whole program of the conference. Every minute of conference, I'm sure, is going to be an excitement for the participant as well as the speaker. So I'm inviting every one of the participants to make full use of this and be a part of our network always, so that we can also follow up. We can also continue our relationship, because we are very much really interested in your career enhancement. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to explain about the Returning Mothers Conference. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ramlata. Always inspiring to listen to your endeavors. Like, our ladies on stage mentioned. And thanks for sharing what's in store. And all our conference delegates, I'm sure you've taken note of all the things in store. There are a lot of surprises packed in. And the best part is the training offered is not only for entrepreneurs, but even if you're like thinking about it to explore, you can go through the talks and get yourself acquainted and get ready to take the plunge. Cool. So,
one moment, Aishwarya. I just wanted to elaborate on the continuing relationship. I think I can explain for 1 more minute. So the continuing relationship I mentioned is the scholarships for a 2-month-long course, which will be offered to select participants. And the selection criteria has already been decided on. So the participants who attend all the workshops and all the sessions will understand where the hitch is and where the surprise is, and where we are going to select them for this scholarship. So happy participating, and also get selected for this scholarship. This 2-month-long course, which actually costs around 25,000 rupees, has been sponsored by the conference sponsors. So I would like to thank all the sponsors of our Returning Mothers Conference for helping our participants. Thank you.
Excellent. Yep, keep engaging and keep interacting, participating. Awesome. So I hope all of you are ready with your cameras and your $1 million smiles. Please get ready to turn them on, and we are going to have a surprise which is going to come your way. And trust me, you want to participate in this. It starts with clicking a selfie, but it will transpire into something else. There you go. You see virtual group fee on your screen. Click on Go Selfie and send us your smile.
I'm done. Let's listen from the attendees. How many of you are done? Let's see yes, no in the comment box. There we go. Ramlata ma'am is done. Great. You're gonna like the final outcome of this, and you don't need to save it. It will automatically land in your inbox. So no need to worry to store it somewhere or some. Yeah.
We are going to give you a few more seconds to do this. So clock timer's on. Click your selfie and join us in this little surprise.
And please don't forget, we all are working from home. So it's fine, whichever background you are right now with. Don't take time to set up your background and all those things. Just take a smile, and there we go.
Okay, awesome. 2 more seconds. We have more people joining us.
Okay, I believe like we have around 20 people left, 23 people left. Yeah. Ramlata ma'am, you're muted if you're speaking. Yeah.
31, 32.
Yeah, there we go. Countdown is still going on.
But Ramnik, will we be able to see 35, 40 people in one picture?
That's going to be the surprise factor next.
Yeah. Anyway, everyone will have their own photo. I think that is enough.
Okay.
So it is 36 right now.
Yep, thanks for participating, all of you.
38.
Let's see the beauty of the diversity in the final outcome.
39.
I guess attendees are slowly coming up. I don't think so. There's a problem. Maybe they are setting up the background for a proper pic. And don't worry, we will be taking this group file in each and every section of this conference in the upcoming days. So you are not losing anything. You're going to have another chance to take your selfie with other speakers, other panelists. But it's a good chance in the inauguration ceremony, you're going to make your token of memory.
I think it is stopped, 39.
Shall I? Oh, yeah. Shall I end then?
Yeah, go for it, Rami.
Okay. There we go. 1, 2, and there it is. It's coming up. Entering the final photo. And here we go.
Wonderful. I wish we had like a virtual applause sound as well. I love it. So like Ramneek mentioned, this will be emailed to each and every one of you, and each of you will see your face lighted up in a personalized pic version. Okay, great. I hope you all enjoyed that, and you're going to see more of it in the coming days of the conference. And with that, it brings us to the much-awaited inaugural panel with 5 vibrant panelists to speak on a highly relevant topic, which is the need of the hour: diversity and inclusion as a way of workplace life. And it is my honor to invite and introduce the moderator of the panel, Dr. Mini Ulanat, who is the Vice Chair of the Women in Engineering India Council. Dr. Mini is not only an active IEEE volunteer, but also an information scientist by profession. And she has 3 decades of rich experience in the area of information management. And also, she enjoys working with diverse groups which are inclusive and innovative. Who better to moderate this panel and get some lovely answers from our panelists? Over to you, Dr. Mini.
Thank you. Thank you, Aishwarya. Ramneek, I'm not able to close this group fee. Is there any way by which I can close it?
Sure,
Hello?
ma'am. I guess like you can. Yes. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
You can
you
zoom
are.
out your browser. Ma'am. Yeah. You can zoom out your browser and you can see the close button on the right top of the pop-up.
And if others are facing the same trouble, you can follow those instructions too.
I'm not able
Yeah.
to.
There is a.
If you have any bottom taskbars open, download bars, you can use that. Then you will see a small cross button.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much. Okay, so without much ado, let me just get into my job. I know that I have a very tight schedule and I have a lot of, you're waiting for the power packed eminent panelist, So let me get into my job. As you all know, IEEE is the largest professional organization in the world, advancing diversity in the technical profession. Committed to advancing diversity in the technical profession and to promote an inclusive culture, welcoming, engaging, and rewarding all who contributes to the field without any regard to race, religion, disability, age, nation, origin, sexual orientation, gender, identity, or gender expression. So let me just thank Dr. Ramlata and her team. We have seen Aishwarya, Ramneek, and other many people who work behind this, and for thoughtfully organizing a panel on diversity and inclusion as a way of work. This is a part of the inaugural event of Returning Mothers Conference 2021. And we have a list of eminent panelists joining us from different parts of the world, drawn from academia, industry, research, entrepreneurship, social sector, all to enlighten us and share their views. So let me just introduce them one by one before getting into my real job of asking questions. I'm introducing in random order. It's not in any particular way. So to begin with, I would like to introduce Dr. Maria Paun. She's currently the telecommunication engineer at Swiss Federal Office of Communication, Ofcom, working in access to market and conformity of radio equipment, as well as a project leader and expert in the field of drones. Dr. Maria received with honors a BSc and MSc from Polytechnica University of Bucharest, Romania, and she was awarded a postgraduate Marie Curie Research Fellowship at University of Kent at Canterbury, UK. She was a scientific researcher at EPFL Switzerland, where she focused on the development of electronics for medical devices. She has worked on various CTI-funded research projects with industrial partners in the field of magnetic sensors and insulin injection pens, and she was awarded with Hassler Foundation 2 grants to work on cochlear implants as well. Her H index is currently 11. Dr. Maria is currently the chair of IEEE R8 Region 8 WIE subcommittee and chair of IEEE Affinity Group in Switzerland. She is the past chair of IEEE Switzerland section and has been an active IEEE volunteer. She is really committed to volunteering work within IEEE and with a great passion for her job. Welcome, Maria, to the panel. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Joining us is Professor Leila Di Floriani. She's a full professor at the University of Maryland at College Park. Previously, she was a full professor at University of Genova, Italy, and held positions at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, University of Nebraska, and Italian National Research Council. She was the 2020 IEEE Computer Society President and is the founding chair of the Computer Society Diversity and Inclusion Committee. She is the fellow of IEEE, an inducted member of IEEE Honor Society of IEEE Eta Kappa Nu. She is a IEEE Computer Society Golden Core member as well as member of HKN. A true researcher, she has been the editor of multiple IEEE journals and has served on the program committees of over 150 leading conferences. Leila Di Floriani has over 300 peer-reviewed scientific publications to her credit, and her research has been funded by numerous national and international agencies, including European Commission and National Science Foundation. Welcome, Professor Leila, and thank you for accepting our invitation and joining us today. And we have IEEE WIE Global Committee Chair 2021 and IEEE Region 9 Executive Committee member and Secretary Jennifer Caslow with us. She is a Project Specifications Manager of Latin America at Instrumentation Group Parker Hannifin Corporation. She is Mechatronics Engineer, graduated from San Buenaventura University in Bogota, Colombia, and she has an MBA in International Enterprises from Polytechnic University of Puerto Rico. She is an IEEE volunteer for 17 years and is currently volunteering for Industry Engagement Committee. And prior to that, she was Puerto Rico and Caribbean Section Chair, V Committee Member at Large, and Section Technical Activity Chair of 2020. She was recognized with IEEE MGA Achievement Award of 2020. Welcome, Jennifer. We are very pleased to have you today with us. And yeah, you're welcome. We have Joanna, a co-founder and CEO of a health startup, SEO's Hub, providing a unified data and project management platform for life science researchers. She was Executive Director of Healthcare Charity Startup, the supercomputer for cancer research, providing free green access to high-performance computational resources for cancer researchers. She has had startups in 3D simulations for learning. Joanna will be the 2022 chair of IEEE Entrepreneurship. She is a member at large and vice chair of industry and investor activities of IEEE Entrepreneurship currently, and was the secretary of IEEE TEMS Executive Committee and Board of Governors 2019-21. Welcome, Joanna, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And a real diversity now. Amongst all the technologists, we have Auntie Kuriakose, who's a development sociologist with over 25 years of experience in gender and social development, focusing on social dimensions of climate change. She is based in Washington, D.C. She's a Senior Social Development Specialist coordinating the gender programming and leading work on social dimensions of climate change in South Asia of World Bank. She has also served as gender leader for World Bank Climate Group, and her country experience includes real diversity. Her work includes South Asian countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, European countries like Romania, Tajikistan, Southeast Asia like Cambodia, Vietnam, African countries like Chad, Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, and of course she is based out of US. Anne holds a PhD from University of Wisconsin-Madison, MA from University of Sussex, and BA from McGill University. I am extremely privileged to welcome a fellow Fulbright from Dr. Anne T. Kuriakose.
Thank you very much.
So, dear fellow panelists, that was a long introduction of all our esteemed panelists. So, coming to our topic, I am extremely privileged to be the moderator of the topic diversity and inclusion as a way of workplace life. So diversity and inclusions are two interconnected concepts, but they're very far from interchangeable. Diversity is about the representation or makeup of an entity, and inclusion is about how well all these contributions are valued and integrated into an environment. So let us start with a first round of questions. I request all the audience to reserve your questions towards the end. The idea is like we will have first round of questions to pose to each and every panelist, and then we will have one more round of which will be a common question, and then we will have a discussion if time permits towards the end. So I am starting with Maria. Maria, you are a telecommunications engineer. Can you please elaborate on policies empowering diversity and inclusivity in your organization? And also one more question I would like to add. What is the impact of these policies in your diverse working environment? Over to you, Maria. You please unmute. You are muted.
Seems that she is having issues to unmute.
I believe I sent a request to her.
Yeah, sorry about that. I have some issues because I'm at work and we are a federal office and we have some limitations in accessing external platforms. I do apologize for that. Normally, I'm much better at using platforms, digital platforms than that. So I do apologize for that. Okay, so I am very pleased to be here and I thank you so much for being able to join such a lovely bunch of wonderful people. And related to the question that I just received, I just wanted to elaborate on that by providing my answer. As we all know, on the 25th of September 2015, the United Nations unanimously adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which now forms the global reference framework for sustainable development until 2030. Switzerland is committed to the implementation of the 2030 Agenda at both national and international level. My workplace, which is the Federal Office of Communications, shortly Ofcom, focuses activities which contribute to achieving the following objectives, mainly focusing on goal number 5, which is achieving gender equality and empowering of all women and girls. At national level, the Swiss Confederation promotes the participation of women at all decision-making levels of social, economic, political, and public life. As a large employer, the public administration has a role model function. In its human resources strategy focusing on the personnel, the Confederation has set different benchmarks for the representation of women in both middle and senior management positions. Ofcom's management approves diversity objectives and measures every year. An international commission is responsible for their implementation. In 2019-2020, Ofcom has focused on the fields of action, gender, multilingualism, people with disabilities, and generations. The aim is to increase the proportion of women in the workforce, to bring girls and women closer to technical professions, and to renew the family and profession label. I kindly invite you to also have a look at our website, admin.ch. At the international level, Ofcom supports the activities of the United Nations and other international organizations which aim to raise the interest of young women in the professions in the field of mathematics, computer science, natural sciences, and technology. In French, this is called MINT, so like the mint. And this is equivalent to the STEM in French. It also encourages projects that take greater account of women's views and needs in the development of new technologies. For example, have a look at the Equals initiatives, www.equals.org is a kind platform for you to get more information. I think my time is now out. I think I had more on, I do have more on goal 5. If I still have the time, I can elaborate more, but if not, I can gladly stop here. Please, me to you.
Yeah, I think if time permits, I'll give you another.
Sure, no problem. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you for understanding. Okay. So moving ahead, we'll go to Laila. You have a multicultural background. You are from Europe, an academician in US, leading Computer Society. Please let me know how you have been contributing towards your commitment to diversity and inclusion in your various roles.
Thank you very much, Minnie, for the nice introduction. It's actually my honor and pleasure to be part of this nice panel and sharing with you my experiences. And let me be very briefly on
Leela,
what...
Please unmute.
I am mute.
No. It's okay. Please go ahead. I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sure. So I'm
now
saying...
I'm hearing.
Okay.
Oh, you can hear me now, Ramalanta?
Yes, I'm here.
My contribution in my job has been over the year has been on improving gender diversity in the computer field. It has been a continued effort in increasing number of women study computer science and entering in the profession. Actually, in my long career, I have to say that I've seen a big decrease in the number of women studying computer sciences. So in Italy, when I started in 1990, there were more than half of women students, and they've been going down. The new data for over the years. So there has been then a long an effort in the last 10 years, both in US and in Europe, in increasing again about the number of the studies. About the profession, what we can see that while there was at the time when I joined the department, half women, women who were students in computer science. I was the only full professor, and I stay full professor for only woman full professor for many years. So that's actually was my role here. I've been concentrating on the graduate student to encourage women joining the graduate studies and entering the career with having a mentoring role there. And this role, I have to say, was even more important in my experience in the United States, where there is probably less support from the society for the women, and also the academic life is very tough for women starting it. Let me talk a bit about what I've been doing as president of the IEEE Computer Society, since I strongly believe in this. I try to identify ways to expand diversity and inclusion in many areas of the society. And actually, this 2020 effort has been expansive across the entire society with enthusiastic support of Board of Governor members of the old committees, and deep involvement of the staff. This resulted in establish a permanent Computer Society Committee on Diversity and Inclusion. It started active now. and it is and with different role. The committee works both on promoting D&I inside boards, committee and society activities, and developing strategy for the community we serve. And actually, we have established a dedicated fund by at the end of 2020, and in the IEEE Foundation, and we are collecting money to promote, expand diversity, inclusion in computer science, engineering field. There are many other activities. One is an important collaboration with women in engineering, where the society has been. This was the Board of Governors joined the IEEE Women Engineering in the pledge to work towards gender diversity panels IEEE meeting. We have been supportive with the fundamental help of Dr. Ramalanta Marimuto. She is an important member of our executive committee, the Returning Mother programs, and other initiative has been for interview series for women to encourage young and mid-career women to pursue leadership role in the future. This year has been expanded to diversity in STEM and so on. There are many other more activities that I would like, but right now let me stop here, and if you are interested, I can mention more. Thanks, Minnie.
Thank you. That was a wonderful experience sharing. We would love to hear more, but due to the paucity of time, I'm forced to go to the next panelist. Jennifer, you are from industry. You must be working with a diverse and inclusive workforce. How do you ensure that your employees or co-workers are working without bias in a diverse environment? How did the diversity and inclusivity benefit your organization?
So thank you very much once again for the invitation. And I will talk about Parker Hannifin, because that is where I work, and this is related to industry, not WIE. And you are just about to witness how yellow my blood is. So Parker does have a diversity and inclusion committee, global committee, and it does have a strong statement. So I think that working in diverse and inclusive environments and having this with the coworkers is not something that is a huge effort for me. It is already part of the culture, which is something that I really appreciate in my company. Perhaps this is why I align so much with the Parker culture and values. Parker has in their tagline, together in many places, together we can reach more productive manufacturing, or in many places in the market. But really is because for Parker, together is a way to produce results, and there's no together if we are not inclusive and if we are not diverse, if we are not including the different talents, the different ideas and initiatives, regardless gender, age, race, country, or any other point. There's also a culture in Parker that is the win culture. So we have a lot of win innovation that is for research and development, and we have win value that is for sales and business development. And within this win initiative, we have, for example, a local and internal WIE. It's a peer W. So this is to empower women to create mentoring programs within the corporation and to expand the network of women within Parker. So with this, I just want to point out that it's not only what is in a website that we do and we are inclusive and we are diverse. This is something applied. This is something that is ongoing, because one of the key issues for women in industry is the lack of opportunities to be exposed, to have opportunities to come with new ideas and initiatives. And this type of programs actually give these opportunities. So once again, I think my company just made it easy for me to be in a diverse and inclusive environment.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was the view from the industry. So over to you, Anne. You had education from UK, Canada, US, and also you have a diverse country background. How did this help you in appreciating the impact of diversity and inclusivity? What strategies your organization has used to respond to the diversity challenge?
Thanks so much, Dr. Mini, and to Dr. Ramalata and others at IEEE. It's a pleasure to be here, and very happy to represent the World Bank in these discussions. As you said, my name's Anne Kuriakos, and I'm based in our South Asia region department at the World Bank. And it's particularly the We Power initiative that we partner with IEEE on all the efforts to really push women's equality and women's employment in the energy sector across South Asia. We've got partnerships with your global wing as well as Asia Pacific and India, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh, and really thrilled at all the work that IEEE has done in this area around training and mentoring and job fairs and conferences like the one today. So thanks for all those efforts. You've mentioned my background in terms of working and studying in different places, and certainly I count myself lucky to have done so. My true belief is that there's strength in diversity, and that the range of nations and backgrounds that we bring to all these settings really make a difference. I started out at university in Montreal, Canada, so was very well aware of this minority-majority kind of question, where the French-speaking majority in Quebec had only recently gained political power over English speakers in the province, just a few decades prior to my arriving in Montreal. And so those feelings were still very raw at the time, and anyone who follows Canadian politics will have seen the range of referenda around these issues of sharing political power. Moving then to the UK, where I studied at the University of Sussex, there was a real focus on kind of inequality and vulnerability, and very inspiring to study with Professor Robert Chambers, who really asked that question about whose knowledge counts, whose experience, whose perspective, whose priorities matter, and who gets a seat at the table. And how can that environment, whether it's an organization, a bureaucracy, a planning process, or an individual project, really be made more inclusive to the betterment of the outcomes that we seek to see. And so at the World Bank in particular, internally within the institution, we strenuously work to advance diversity and inclusion, and also in the approach to our investments. So we recognize the importance of difference, whether it's gender, race, sexual orientation, national origin, and strive to bring those perspectives and culture together. And many visitors who's come to the workplace there are just amazed. They've kind of never seen a place that just physically looks like, this. Well, we are a UN body as well, so very diverse place. We do, nevertheless, particularly around representation of women, as well as a few other categories of staff from Sub-Saharan Africa and the Caribbean region, as well as the overall category of staff from developing countries overall. We do have kind of priorities and targets around their recruitment promotion, and outcomes in terms of employment. And so there we're looking at both trying to make sure that women are in technical positions, at the kind of, entry level and up through senior technical positions. We've had good progress at the kind of managerial, very senior level, but there's still stickiness in the middle in terms of what levels women get recruited in at, and how they progress through the institution. And so those are being monitored closely.
Thank you, Anne. We would like to hear more in the next round. Okay, due to the paucity of time, I'm just forced to. I'm extremely sorry. It is quite interesting to note how World Bank is really implementing this. In the second part, I will give you the chance to explain more on that. Okay, thank you, Anne.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, Joanne, I have a question. You are a founder, CEO, a mentor, and advisor for multiple startups, and 2022 chair of IEEE Entrepreneurship. How do you advise to take steps to attain diversity and inclusion? How will it add value to the organization?
So thank you. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me for this panel with distinguished speakers, as all of you here, and great leaders in your organization. And one of the things looking at is you're looking at how do you attain diversity and inclusion, and it comes straight from the top, from the leaders like yourself here, and leaders within your community that make things happen. And it's leading by example. And because as all of us are leaders in our own in our own, let's say, environment, we make things happen. And how do we go about doing it? So let's say, I'll give you the examples, let's say within my organization I've been engaged with is, let's say, within the company I'm starting up. And I just thought of it as we were talking about this, is that half our startup are women, and we got represented from all different countries. I can't say it was done purposely, but it just happened. But I think it's just because of who we are, it happens. Okay. And then there's certain other environments where you say, hey, we got to be mindful and bring about change and bring about situation that, hey, we have to be inclusive and create that diverse environment of which all of you have talked about. So as the 2022 chair of the IEEE Entrepreneurship, some of the things that I've looked at is, let's say, from the women perspective, is we started a polling this year on women entrepreneurs and see what we as IEEE Entrepreneurship can help women founders and executive, so that to help grow their business. So from that survey, we're going to be implementing programs such as a Women Entrepreneurs Network, so that it's done on a global basis, but also you have the local grassroots implementation there. So thinking of things like that, of being insightful and thoughtful of the environment around you. The other part that we looked at is that from myself being a partner at a venture capitalist firm from California, is that there's less in the United States, and it's probably applicable worldwide, less than 5% of partners in VC firms are women. And so when we get requests from IEEE for their conferences and entrepreneurship, one of the things we're bringing in is bringing the viewpoint of having investors invest. What do they look for? So one of the things we're looking at is that all these investor forums are 100% women. And so the first one we're doing is in quantum computing. So we found 5 women investors that will be talking about investing in what they look for, investing in quantum computing. We're going to do the same type of thing to carry that on for other conferences. So it's putting women in forefront. So, and also as we're building up our team for next year, being mindful that there is representation of women, but also of all different countries that are represented in all the committees that we're doing, because being more diverse and getting ideas from others, that's how we grow, because we all come from different backgrounds. And the only way we can grow as an organization is to make sure we listen and bring in ideas of others and implement it. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very kind of you to have informed us what is the It's quite surprising to know that only less than 5% of venture capitalists are women. Okay, so moving ahead to the round 2, I think it might be a repetition of many things which you have already explained, but I think this is the second time we are giving more time, So what are the challenges you have faced this is a common question. I'll be repeating it if you want. Again, what are the challenges you have faced in implementing the D&I initiative in your organizations or in whichever places where you could do that? What are the best practices for improving these D&I initiatives? So again, I'll start with Maria. Over to you, Maria.
Thank you so much, Minnie. Very kind of you. Yes, so I do believe more awareness should be drawn or raised towards non-for-profit international organizations such as IEEE. More collaborations should be done between national and international organizations supporting women in STEM. There is only to gain from these partnerships. For example, here in Switzerland at national level, IEEE unfortunately is not so well known, especially not on the volunteering side, but we do raise awareness, and we have done so by me being the IEEE Switzerland chair for 4 years. We did try to make ourselves heard more. But for example, IEEE here is mostly known for its technical standards and publication that you all know very well. Events that we organize for women in engineering, both in Switzerland and at Region 8 level, have always been well received, encouraged, and well attended. However, at Region 8 Women in Engineering level, we do not have the legal power to implement diversity and inclusion initiatives, but we focus mostly on making our voice heard, promoting activities and events for the encouragement of women in engineering, as well as awarding to the most honorable activities performed by women different awards at the Region 8 level. With respect to my employer, which is the Federal Office of Communication of Switzerland, as I already mentioned, there is a high interest for promoting and supporting women in engineering and other fields in STEM, so-called MINT here in French-speaking part. This I have already previously discussed. However, I have to do all my volunteering activities within IEEE from my own personal time, and I have to take time off from work to attend panels or events such as this one. So let us raise more awareness and let us work closely together, both at national and international level. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Maria. Yes, that's a very valid point. More awareness and raising our voice. Over to you, Professor Leila.
What I would like to mention that basically these challenges, this is a challenge, these changes take time, and right now, at least in the United States, there is a lot of interest and pushing in that direction, and this could help. It could for sure help a bit in pursuing our efforts here. For instance, in the wake of the George Floyd incident in the United States, we got a members feedback campaign that was launched, and our members provided many interesting suggestions. As a result of that, actually, we have a committee that is going to work on over 2 years to produce recommendations against the use of racist, bias, and culturally insensitive languages in all society products, IEEE journal, conference, standard, websites, and everything like that. Another way of working or encouraging diversity and inclusion, for the first year in 2020, our technical committee budget, we asked them to devote 20% of the budget of the annual funds to support membership community, funding conference registration, create a work diversity dedicated to diversity, create speed mentoring events for women and diversity, organize the events and panel for that. And then, there is the pandemic, they didn't help for some of that, but many activities have been going on. We have been also really active in trying to recruit women, and in our board of governor member, we went from 21% to 37% of female. We're still not much more than our membership, because we don't even want to mention the percentage of women in our members being so low, around 11%. And what is the important thing is also that there is not only gender diversity. We need to be looking more, and there is a long path to do. And we have been also trying to balance committee participation, board participation inside society. More complicated challenges is to collect the nomination for awards, fellow position, volunteer leadership from a diverse pool of candidates, because this will also not only requires an intense activity of reaching out to the groups, but even implement challenge the rules in order to have such requirements to be sort of enforced. Thank you.
Thank you, Leila. Over to you, Jen, to share your thoughts.
Thank you. So this time I'm going to talk about a little bit more on WIE. And because it has represented a challenge to have a diverse committee in terms of gender. So what happened is, and this is the kind of things that we want to make sure we're shifting that thought, and is that if we need a representative of a society in our committee, it is always the women in the room. And not every time the women in the room has to be. I'm pretty sure that many people would like to support the Women in Engineering Vision and Mission. And having this diversity and inclusion in the committee is going to be positive. So that has been a tremendous challenge for us. And right now what we are doing is trying to appoint members in the committee, but appointed. Like, you want to be a member in my committee, come. But that shouldn't be the way, it should be something that is already permeating the culture. So that's something we're trying to focus. And of course, best practices. The first one I could say is, and maybe I've heard this in a couple of you before, this is about a culture in a company. So educate the people, educate everybody, that in a future, in 20 years, we don't have to do panels on diversity and inclusion, but it is already part of the culture of the company, of the organization, whichever. I think that beyond any other best practice, that one is going to enable everything else to fall into the right in the right place. And last but not least, something I forgot to mention in my last intervention is the moment we all understand that, because sometimes this can get a little romantic, like, yeah, we have to be diverse because we have to respect others. But the moment industry and the different company, the industry, entrepreneurship, government, everybody, academia, understand that this is beyond that, but this is to get the best results of our investments, that is going to be it. Because when you have the diversity and inclusion in place, you get the best talent. And when you get the best talent, it is inevitable that you are going to get the best result. If you are listening to them, if you are taking into account what everybody has to bring to the table, you are going to get the best result. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen. Over to you, Anne. Please unmute, yeah.
Yeah, just unmuted. Thank you. Actually, my comments, I think, follow on pretty well from what Jen was just talking about, because I think that the culture of the institution and the sorts of kind of allyship that people demonstrate matters a lot. So what sort of modeling are managers doing in terms of being inclusive? You need the top-down policies and the targets and that sort of thing, but at the same time, you need greater awareness and support for inclusion of all types. And that can also happen through policy efforts. So, for example, as I think Dr. Ramalata mentioned, we've shifted from kind of maternity-paternity leave to, well, first bringing in paternity leave, but now even just calling it parental leave. which in the case of the World Bank now includes kind of both childbirth and adoption, support for surrogacy, and we talk about kind of primary and secondary caregivers so that our LGBTQ staff members as well, as they're expanding their families, can have support in that context, and it's not specific to particular family models. We've seen the importance of institutions as well in academia when we think about universities stopping the tenure clock, for example, around maternity leave and giving time for, in this case, often female professors to really gain a little bit of extra time to get those sorts of requirements in consideration for tenure promotion. But again, it's a lot of good practices that exist around things like affinity groups and the support that groups like, in the case of the World Bank, with the African Women's Club and, Indian Staff Association and all these kinds of things. And those can help kind of form networks of support. But at the same time, you want broader inclusion and training. And we have lots around what we call unconscious bias and making sure that this is really front of mind and that we're kind of tracking through annual surveys and making sure that, reported incidents of, sexual harassment and all this kind of thing is really declining over time. And a real kind of zero tolerance for that sort of work. And I think that all matters. The other thing is around norms. And this I kind of abstract a bit away from just the institutional context and organizations and think about what this looks like in the family setting. And so we did work in Sri Lanka on women's labor force participation and saw that this school to work transition and, the entry into STEM and all of this kind of thing really starts with very early messages that girls receive at a young age about appropriate subjects to study, about the role of women and the idea of working after marriage or after having children, often not supported more broadly in the society. And so there's pressure put on individuals from different locations, and then assumptions that employers are making even before they recruit or hire. And so the importance of kind of job matching and not just giving the training, but also following through in terms of job placement and support in that sense. I think I'll stop there, but really important area. And I'm glad that we're thinking more broadly and not just about what happens to individuals, but what this looks like in terms of change at the institutional level.
Thank you, Anne. Over to you, Joanne.
Hi. So challenges facing is really challenging, challenging status quo. And because no one likes to change. And it's just human nature. So how do we go about bringing change within established hierarchy, whether it's small, large, any organization? And it really comes back down to us as leaders being persistent and driving programs that bring about change. And some of you have already mentioned that. And I mentioned some of the things that were happening in IEEE entrepreneurship. And I've been fortunate with IEEE entrepreneurship. They've been very welcoming in creating programs on women entrepreneurs and everything of that nature. So, but I think there's a greater challenge in this of our actual work environment is our future workforce. And I think Dr. Leela had talked about this. There's fewer women, girls going into STEM. And we have to look at how to address that. And it has to be addressed from a local grassroots level. And it will vary from region to region. And I'm based in Montreal. So, Dr. Ann, I understand what you went through there because I was raised in Montreal and lived in Montreal about all the political culture. But the challenge that we're having today is how do we get more girls into engineering? How do we get more girls into computer science and to love the math? And the stats are all there. But how do us as leaders here get engaged locally? And I think we have to start looking at that. And I'm not sure how about doing that. I know with an IEEE, there's certain entities that do it. And I know we have STEM programs and everything of that sort. And I've been engaged locally here in Montreal for 20 years in an annual workshop of getting professional women to give workshops to girls in grades 8 and 9. The reason for that is before they choose advanced science courses. So anyway, that I find is we got to look at how to improve the youth to get more women into computer science and engineering. So that's just my little platform right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. See, it's quite interesting to hear about from the different perspectives from different part of world. What I want to share is that you are telling, like Professor Laya was telling, that the number of girls are decreasing in computer science, whereas the place from where I come from, I'm from India and we are from South India, and in our places, we have girls outnumbering boys in our computer science class. And in PG, you won't believe, it is almost 80%, not even 80, 90% girls. We are just finding it very hard as and when the higher education is in going on. It may not be the same everywhere, but of course, the problems around the world are the same. I understood whether you're from India, whether you're from US, maternity leave, paternity leave, rearing the children. We can talk about all these things, but of course, the one important point I found is that more awareness. That has changed quite a lot also. And now let us just give 10 minutes to the audience. Any questions, please feel free to ask any of the panelists. I will conclude after the questions also.
Minnie, if you don't mind, while a question comes in the chat, it's just that you talk about outreach, and that's one of the key points in WIE. And one thing that I wanted just to share is how the reason why girls are not getting into STEM careers change with the years. So maybe 20 years ago, we were thinking about a society that embraced women in these kind of careers. But nowadays, we're talking about a youthful generation that are thinking about other types of exciting careers, or maybe more interesting to their eyes, if they want to be an influencer, if they want to be, I don't know, devote to arts, and which is okay. But it's how we approach the outreach that needs to evolve with that. Because I haven't seen one of the girls in the outreach in the STAR program that do not go wow when we do an experiment, or when science can be interesting. So it's how do we make it fun? But just wanted to chip that in.
Thank you. Yeah, stereotyping was there earlier. Yes, very true. Very true. Any questions?
It's still there, but there are many other things coming along.
And also lack of role models. Now we are seeing more role models. That's it. Any questions?
Minimum, I guess we have one from Ramlata.
Yeah, please. I'm able to see the comments. I think, Madam Ramlata, you can always unmute and ask, please.
Yeah. I just want to ask, any of the panelists can reply to this. We still find that unconscious bias in every organization, though we are saying that we are trying to mitigate, we have so many best practices, and we have policies, of course. But are there any suggestions to completely mitigate unconscious bias other than making the male members and making the policy makers understand that the women are also equal to men? So probably making it into education.
I might jump in here on this question. It's an interesting one, and I think you can kind of approach it from a few angles. But at the World Bank, we've tried a few kind of techie solutions, which I think are absolutely not sufficient, and need to be paired with more of this kind of soft outreach side. But on the techie side, when we look at recruitment and kind of vetting of candidates and all, in terms of numbers, we've done a study. We went back and actually looked at all our staff from 1987 through 2015 to see what men's and women's progression was like in the organization and this sort of thing. And it has been changing generationally in a positive way, as Jen in some ways was kind of suggesting. But as I mentioned before, we still see stickiness. And though in terms of people even applying to jobs, when a job is advertised, we have 2 men applying for, if you have 3 people, 1 out of 3 will be a woman, and the other 2 are men. And then if they're very technically specific jobs, 1 out of 8 applicants are female still, which is kind of shocking to me. We still see that women are going in and getting jobs at a slightly lower level, which then can kind of hinder their progression in the organization. And this is why I talk about this kind of sticky middle. But again, on recruitment, we've kind of put in things like use machine learning to make sure that the language that's used in the job ads is not, gender discriminatory and kind of suggesting in some ways that a man might be more suitable for this kind of role. Obviously, we don't use that explicit language, but sometimes there's adjectives that are used that suggest that, take charge kind of person is needed or something. And then separately to that, there's efforts that have been made around making sure that the panels that do the interviews for jobs, for example, are balanced and they're checking in terms of, male and female composition there. They've looked at performance ratings and seen if there's any bias in how men and women managers and staff and all this are doing those performances. And they haven't found evidence of bias there. In terms of systems, there's lots of specific stuff that I think we're being very rigorous about. But again, it comes back to what you're suggesting on the unconscious bias side. And I think a lot of it is just critical mass, because I joined World Bank in 2005 and there were very few women managers really at that time. And in a top-down way, the bank has tried to put more women at the managerial level, and it's made a difference now in terms of kind of, I think, attention to these issues as well. And just, again, maybe a generational shift that younger men are used to seeing women in charge as well.
I would like to add to that beyond the organization, it comes to the individual as well. And many times it is even a good option to take one of the unconscious bias tests that you find everywhere, and you will find a bunch of things that you didn't know about yourself. And that's also that needs to be added to the process, starting with ourselves and giving that sort of example. And I want to maybe recall what Joanne said before, and it comes from the top bottom. It is inevitable, and it has to be part of the culture.
Yes. If I may only add just a few sentences on that, I think this is a really important question which has been raised, and I thank the person who asked it. Even the name itself tells a lot. It's unconscious bias, so we don't do it consciously. I would say that it is quite difficult to erase it completely. It does exist still, unfortunately, but it's getting better now, that's for sure. And how can we get rid of it? I would say, firstly, as Jen already mentioned, through personal education, so through everyone's views on the world, on the society, on the capabilities of other persons. Because even though biologically different men and women are equally capable and equally competent. And I would say that we should also have much more role models in order to make the society know that this is possible and reduce this unconscious bias. And I also really appreciated what Anne has mentioned about this having gender inclusive statements and not doing any discrimination when recruiting. That's really important. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you. I think, Ramnik, we have more people, more questions. I think so.
Yes, we have one more. Aishwarya, would you like to go ahead? Yeah.
Yeah, so I see that our chat box is buzzing with questions, but we also want to be mindful of the time and respect everybody's schedule. So if it's okay, I would invite all the panelists to have a chat to answer questions on the chat box while we proceed with the a few closing remarks. This is such an very engaging conversation that it never ends time. We always have questions and comments. And Dr. Mini, would you like to?
I'll just take
Please go
half
for
a minute, okay?
Go for it.
Because everything has been explained very well in detail. So I think, yes, it has to be more awareness, more collaborative events, mindfulness, and the challenge is how to bring about the change. See, we live in a patriarchal society, and overnight we don't expect things to change, but still we are moving ahead in the right way. So I'm extremely thankful to all the panelists for such an engaging conversation. I have 2 pages full of points which I don't want to read out due to the paucity of time again. So thank you all. We'll meet again and we'll continue this. And thanks to the Madam Ramlada, Aishwarya, Ramneek, Cheryl, and all the team members for such an excellent thing. And all the participants, they've been staying back till the end of the session. That's the best part of it. So thank you. I think that made our day the best. So thank you all. We'll keep in touch. We'll continue the good work. Thank you.
I can't agree more.
Thank you.
Thank
A
you.
lot
Thank
of
you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Excellent.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye to all.
Have a
If
nice
you all
day.
can
Pleasure.
stay on for a couple of
Thank
moments,
you.
we
Bye.
have
Okay.
a
Please do
virtual
not-
memento to share with all of you.
Oh, yes.
Ramneek, if I can request you to share screen. We are not able to give you the memento in person, so this is the virtual version of it. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for making this such a very engaging and fruitful discussion. Thank you, Prof. Laila. This is for you. We next have Jen. Thank you. Thank you for all your valuable comments. We have Anne. Thank you, Anne, for joining us and representing World Bank. Thank you, Maria. Very valuable comments from your end as well. And it's such a pleasure listening to all of you. Thank you, Joanne. And last but not the least, our wonderful moderator. Thank you, Mimi, so much for keeping it very interactive and engaging. Thank you all. We have a couple of statements from Ramneek about another surprise which was delivered to your email boxes. We are going to just take a few more minutes of your time and before we close off. Ramneek, over to you.
I am so sorry. I did have a hard stop 3 minutes ago, so I do have to leave.
Yes,
Thank you very
please, Jen.
much, everybody.
Thank you so much for your time and for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aishwarya, for sharing the mic to me. It's kind of a physical experience, but in the virtual world, grabbing the mic from another speaker, the co-host. So thank you so much for that. And thank you so much to all the panelists, personally to me, women in my organization itself, where I'm working, as well as IEEE grounds. It's a great inspiration for me because I actually learn a lot from women around me, as well as men. I won't be kind of discriminated. It's an inclusive RMC we are talking about. So since my personal level, since my school days, it's a very great motivation and inspiration which I get from my colleagues as well within the organization. Coming to the surprise, so I believe you all have received the RMC Delegate Handbook. It's in your mail in the calendar invite of the inauguration ceremony. If you haven't checked it out, and that is actually the full A to Z support while your conference is going on, while the conference sessions are going on for the 2 days, 27 today, 28, 29. You can have a conference e-pad in the last 2 pages. It's editable, it's a fillable, where you can mention your points and all the bullet points which you want to refer in the future reference for your learning and exploration. Coming to the another part, if you have opened the booklet on the first page itself in the footer, you must have seen RMC Batch Generator. So we would love to hear your excitement of the inauguration ceremony after generating a batch from that portal, and just go ahead and post in your social network with hashtag IEEE RMC 2021. That was from my side. Aishwarya, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ramneek.
Thank you, Ramneek. I hope all of you will explore the delegate booklet and make use of it. I would like to invite Dr. Ramlata to say a couple of words to close the event and welcome all of you to the next 2 days of the conference. Do we have her on stage?
Thank you, Aishwarya. Thank you so much. It was really inspirational to have all the panelists and hear their views. So I would like to personally thank each one of them. Thank you, Leela. Thank you, John. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Maria. And thank you, Minnie. Okay, Jen has left. No issues. I thank her. So I would like to say that the next 2 days are going to be hotbeds because, as I explained, we have great speakers from all over the world, especially giving interactive sessions, trainings, workshops, and also experience sharing. So I would invite every one of you not to miss even a single session and attend and give us the feedback. And I would like to thank the Computer Society for this great platform, which has enabled us. Yes, definitely. This platform was possible only because IEEE Computer Society. Leela took a personal interest in bringing out the sponsorship for this. So thank you, Leela, so much. And I think every one of us are excited about these 2 days. So kindly attend all the sessions. And you can also invite anyone in your circle for the conference. We are going to keep the registrations open because it is definitely going to be useful for anyone. There is no difference. There is nothing to say that it will not be useful for anyone. So definitely include anyone, bring inclusion into this. Thank you so much. Let's enjoy.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Have a nice
Thank
day.
you. Bye.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Aishwarya, do we have one last minute? Can we take a group pick again for the people who have missed out?
There have been several requests to repeat the group P. So
I also got some.
whoever is be able to stay back can join us. But yeah, feel free to go ahead.
Just an information meanwhile, for the upcoming sessions, you can join from the same link, the link which was shared in the inauguration ceremony. Meanwhile, we will be sharing today evening as per IST John, after this session, a separate 2 calendar invites for the session day 1, which is tomorrow, and day 2, day after tomorrow. So you can find all the information, all the agenda as per the session into the link itself. Thank you so much for joining all, and we will be getting a lot of learning for these 2 days. Thank you so much for all the panelists, and thank you so much, Minnie ma'am, for your wonderful moderation of the session. Thank you all. Please take care.
Thank you very
Stay
much
safe.
and have a lovely day or
Bye-bye.
night.
Bye. Have a nice day.